Okay, if you clicked on this video, you want to see how I use Scott Scheper's Anti-Net Zettelkasten system to study the Bible. So in less than 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how I use the system to study the Bible. First things first. You should already have a basic understanding of the Anti-Net Zettelkasten system or the principles. If you don't, I have a couple of videos in my playlist, my Anti-Net Zettelkasten playlist that you can refer to, or I have Shaper's his page, his YouTube page connected to this video. You can click on that and you can go to the original source of it all. You can learn the basics and the principles of Anti-Net, and then you can come back over here to see how I study the Bible with it. Now, on my channel, I'm giving you my take, right? So my channel was called Here's My Take. So on this channel, my objective, my goal, my aim is not to regurgitate what other people are saying, right? I want to give you my take on whatever subject that I'm talking about. So right now I'm talking about Anti-Net Zettelkasten. And so, I'm not going to repeat what Scott has already said and what others have said. I am going to give you something unique and give you my own perspective. All right. So I'm not going to deviate from the Anti-Net Zettelkasten principles, but I'm going to show you what my conventions are. So here we go. Ready, set, go. So when using the Anti-Net system, the first thing you always start with is what we call a bib card. Now, a bib card is an index card. It's this here. It's a 4x6 index card. And on the bib card, bib is short for bibliography. Now, if you're reading a book, you're going to write the bibliographic information on that card. Underneath that, you're going to write the goal that you have, that's your stated goal or intention for reading said book. And then under that, you're going to write the overview. So you're going to look at the back copy, you're going to read through the table of contents, and then you're just going to summarize what you think the concept of the book is about. There's a difference though when you are studying the Bible. Okay. When you're studying the Bible, some conventions like Chicago or Turabian, because the Bible is ubiquitous, because it is a common work, you do not have to include it in your bibliography. So it really doesn't make sense, right, to write that bibliography or the bibliographic information on the top of the card. So what should you write on the top of the card? Well, I'll tell you what I do. What I do is I write the book of the Bible that I'm studying, and I write the chapters that I'm going to be studying, and I write the version of the Bible that I'm reading from. So that's the book of the Bible, the chapters that I will be studying, and the version of that particular book. Now, the reason that I include that information is because in the Chicago style of citation, or in Turabian, which is a student version of Chicago, when you're writing a paper, they do ask you to cite the book, the chapter, the verse, and the first time you're citing this citing this version of the Bible, you have to include the Bible version. So I use two different Bibles. I use what some call a word for word translation, which is the English, one of the versions, which is a word for word. It's an English standard version. And then I use more of a dynamic version if I'm not really studying the Bible, but for devotion time, I will use more of a dynamic version. And right now, the thing that has gripped me is the Passion translation. Yeah, the Passion Translation, and I really enjoy this book. All right, so those are the two versions that I use. So at the top of my card, I'm simply going to write. So right now I'm studying First Timothy. So First Timothy chapters 1 through 6, and I'm using the English Standard Version. Now, underneath that, I said what you want to include after that is your goal. Well, I mean, depending on, you can. I did not state my goal. You know, I think the goal is going to be similar for all of us, that we're studying for edification. It could be that your goal is studying for Bible study or preparing a sermon. If you want to include your goal, you can. I did not. Okay. Underneath that, what you would include is the overview of the book. But now we're talking about a book of the Bible. So, what do you include? Well, I thought it would be a great idea, since we're studying the Bible, to include the occasion, right? So, what is the occasion in the Bible? The occasion is why that particular book of the Bible was written when it was. So, whoever wrote it, they wrote it at a particular time, at a particular location, within a particular culture, to a particular people. Why did they do that? Right? So, I put occasion there, right up underneath the. Okay, there we go. Right underneath the um, Bible chapter, the book, the chapter, the version of the Bible. I put the occasion. And for First Timothy, the occasion is to provide guidance on church leadership and organization, to address false teachers, to give moral and ethical instructions, to give encouragement and support for Timothy. I thought it was also a good idea to possibly write when most scholars think that this particular book or letter, whatever it is, was written. And this, in First Timothy, they say it was written AD 62 through 66. And then the last thing I decided to include on my convention of how I study the Bible is the literary style. All right. So um First Timothy literary style happens to be a pastoral letter. Okay. So throughout the entire Bible, there are different literary styles that you can choose from. There's history, there is the wisdom literatures, there's the prophets, the major and the minor prophets. There's the Gospels, right? So there's poetry, there's law, there's the epistles, there's all kinds of literary styles that you can find in the Bible. And I think that if you are going to study the Bible, it's good to include the literary style. Any good study Bible is going to have that information in it. Okay. Any good study Bible is going to have the occasion before the book that you can read through um, and list on your card. Now, once you do that, I also have the convention of, if you watch some of my other videos, I put the date in the bottom corner because I just like to go back and see when I studied something or when I read something, when I created that card. That's just something that I like to do. Now, once you do that, you're going to put the card over vertically to the back, and then you're going to take notes. Now, how do you take notes? Well, you're just going to start reading. And hopefully, I don't know what you guys do, who's ever watching this. I don't know what you do before you study the Bible, but it will probably be a good idea for you to pray and ask God to show you some things that might prompt your spirit, that is relevant and applicable to you and to your life right now, or to help you to point some things out for your Bible study or for your sermon prep, whatever it is that you are doing. You should probably pray first. Now, whenever you come across something that prompts your spirit, make a note of it, right? So at the top, I put First Timothy. Come on, adjust. Adjust. It's not adjusting. Let me pull it back some. All right, but at the top, it's First Timothy at the top here, and then on the side, I have the verses. So I'll put the V. There we go. So like V1, V2, V6. That lets me know that in chapter 1, we're talking about verse 4 or verse 5 or verse 6. And I'm just making note, just like a regular book. Whatever stands out to me, I'm just going to make a small note of it. Okay. Now, after you're done, you're going to go back through your bib card and you're going to decide which observations are suitable for your task. Again, maybe you're prepping for a sermon or a Bible study, or perhaps it's just for your own edification. If you are um, a anti-net Zettelkasten purist, right? like you're all out analog. You don't even have an Apple Watch. You have an analog watch, right? So if you're all out um, anti-net Zettelkasten, then what you want to do is you may want to select only what is currently applicable or is an irresistible idea and make a main card from that. Okay. So I would, I'm not going to share the information that I got from being on Scott's newsletter because I pay for it and others pay for it, pay a good deal to get his newsletter. So I'm not going to share with you the information he shares in his newsletter, but, and I would encourage you to sign up for it because it's great information. But you might just want to select one idea from your bib card to make it a main card. All right. Now, finally, I want to talk about how do you store it, right? So I have my main card here. I wrote a main card. And the thing that stood out to me was in First Timothy chapter 1 verses 18 through 19, where Paul is encouraging Timothy to war with his prophetic words. All right. So I made a whole main card about that. Now, how am I going to store this in the main section of my anti-net Zettelkasten? Well, I have in my anti-net Zettelkasten in the 1000 column, which is the arts and humanities, I have one section called doctrine. And I put any Bible study I'm doing, um, if I'm studying for school or whatever, all of my cards are going to go in that section. You might want to be more elaborate, right? You might want to, in the 1000 category or in a different academic discipline, you might want to list the literary styles that I talked about earlier. You might want to do it topically. Topically? Yeah, topically. I think topically is a word. If it's not, you know what I'm talking about, right? You might want to do it by topic. Okay. So there are different conventions that you can use to utilize the anti-net Zettelkasten. I would encourage you to be unique. Don't move away from the principles of the anti-net Zettelkasten because the principles are are sound and it gets you the result that you want. And the result that you want is you want your anti-net Zettelkasten to be a communication partner with you. You want it to be, as in Scott's book, he talks about it being a second mind, right? So here are ways that you can possibly get revelation about certain scriptures, certain verses, certain books of the Bible that you were not able to apprehend before by using the anti-net Zettelkasten system. But you have to stick to the principles of that system for it to work. But if you stick to the principles, you can come up with your own conventions, right? So it doesn't matter how you store it. Just be sure that whatever idea you have, that card goes behind the idea that is most like it, right? So just make sure you do that and you should be good. All right, y'all. So let me know what you think. If you think that this is a good system, I think it's a good system. Let me know if you're going to use it. If you have any other questions, I'll attempt to answer those questions. If you like this video, please like it and leave a comment. And if you want more videos like this or similar videos, please subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. All right. Bye.